Alabama was just kind of one of the big games that we had this weekend in Week 5. 30-24 the final in the top 6 matchup in Happy Valley. Yet again, it becomes Sad Valley after Oregon takes the long trip. That was just too easy. Every year it's just kind of going that way. But, make no mistake about it, guys. This game was about Drew Aller. He's looked the part against lesser competition for much of his career, but when the stakes are high, he has consistently fallen short. Now, is all of the blame going to fall on Drew Aller? Should it fall on Drew Aller? Absolutely not, because this was a back-and-forth game, and obviously, as you see there on your screen, it went to overtime. But this was, I thought, his chance to really show everybody just how much he has improved and just how much he's taken that next step as one of the elite quarterbacks to really do it in the country this year. But we're asking the same questions of this Penn State team about Can you compete? Can James Franklin get that big win now 4-21 against AP top 10 teams? Oregon's a very good team, so I want to let's start there. Let's start with Oregon and Dante Moore going on the road and getting this win because regardless of what the final score said, that is one of the best atmospheres in college football. We all witnessed it. Yeah, it's a tough place to play. And Dan Lanning taking an incredibly young team on the road and getting this result. What does that speak to you about this Oregon team, Eddie?
It speaks to me that they are well coached. They're prepared. They're not overwhelmed by anything. I think the presence, me and even Skubie, we looked at each other during the game where it was like, man, Dante Moore is just like so cool and so relaxed. And I just couldn't get over his composure and how calm he was. A great sign for Oregon. Offensive line. Absolutely protected, phenomenal in this football game, right? Denied Dennis Sutton. He made a big play later in the football game where he gets the interception on the 2-point conversion. But other than that, they did a great job of protecting this young man consistently throughout the football game. Kenyon Sadiq, I'm not exactly sure what happened to him on the one play and how bad he got hurt, but he is a phenomenal football player. Every time that he gets the football, good things happen for this Oregon offense. DeCorian Moore, the one play that he made extending on A.J. Harris, one of the best corners in the country, and we see this young freshman turning it up the sideline and high-pointing the football. Extremely impressive by this young football team. Absolutely fearless, didn't bat an eye. They didn't care if it was a whiteout, a blue out, whatever. They played really good team football. And even when Penn State and Drew Aller came back with the counter punches to get back in the game, I just can't believe just how well they stayed composed, kept fighing. Yes. And, hey, got a favorable call by the refs there with that, there was a blade of grass, knee down. I don't know. Hey, refs, I'm not sure what's going on here, but you guys need more preseason work because you are been super suspect in the month of September. Clean it up, all right? But other than that, just so impressed by Oregon and how they played in this one.
Scoop, let me ask you this question because we just got done with the Alabama-Georgia conversation.
That was my face too on that.
It was. And we just talked about how, we don't really feel bad either way about one of the teams coming out of that game. Does this result give you that same feeling necessarily? Or, do you have some more questions about this Penn State team now?
I actually feel bad about Penn State, if I'm being honest. And Now, here's the truth. Penn State is supposed to be a better football team than they were last year, this year. This is the Penn State team that had the most returners. They got the formula, right? You had NFL players that decided to come back and void the league in order to pursue a championship because they were so close to doing it. But now you get in a situation, as you see on this graphic right here, Drew Aller now falls to 0-6 against top 6 ranked opponents after they lost to Oregon today. And then James Franklin now is 4-21 against AP top 10 opponents since he was the head coach.
That's the important stat there. Not Drew Aller 0-6. The head coach has a problem in big games, okay? So I don't want everything to go to this young man who's in his 20s of well, he can't play clutch. You know what? I think the head coach and the coaching staff have a problem in big games.
Yes, and we talked about this before. So the problem with Penn State that everyone says is the receivers, right? Ty Warren was the offense. He was sometimes the quarterback, the running back, the wide receiver, and the tight end. He would do everything for this team. So they said, we didn't have wide receivers. Let's go out in the transfer portal. Let's bring in some special guys. That they did. And it still feels like they have the same problems on the offensive side of the ball that they had last year. And quite frankly, Matt, you brought up the point that maybe it's not the wide receivers. Maybe it's the system rather than it is the players.
I think it's a combination of everything. I think it's a little bit of Drew Aller. I think it's a little bit of Andy Kolonicki and his offense, and really just their inability to be consistent or to create a foundational system to go off. So here we are in the first half. The score is 3-3. You see the difference in the yardage.
By the way, the defense didn't play like a Penn State defense either today.
No, it wasn't like overwhelming or scary, and I think you can see that right from the start. That's why I said earlier, like Oregon's just protection of Dante Moore allowed him to feel comfortable within the football game. So yeah, it's loud, it's noisy, a lot of pom-poms in the air. That's great. But I'm not getting hit a lot. I'm not being chased around the yard. And every time that he did use his legs, it was because he was trying to create, not because he was forced to. And that's where I think there was a big difference between these two teams. And I go and watch the film of Penn State versus Villanova, and they had trouble moving the football against Villanova. Villanova did a great job of playing a lot of zone, 3-man rushes, and Penn State seemed to have like no answers for it. So that's where I go back to like, yeah, Drew Aller, yes, he does have to play better. He's talented. It hasn't really equated to statistics, right, or performance all that much in big-time games. But I also have to say the coaching staff, I don't know. I don't see it. I'm not buying what you're selling as far as a program and a structure of a system, because I see Will Stein and Dante Moore, no problem moving the ball up and down the football field.
But the draft experts, Drew Aller, a first-round quarterback. Shouldn't a quarterback that is projected to be drafted in the first round be able to carry the team and be able to make those throws? Because then the evaluation of first-round quarterback seems incorrect to me, because now the last two plays that are stuck in my head with Drew Aller is in the college football playoff when he threw it across the body when they needed a play for him to drive down the field and score the game-winning touchdown, and it was picked off. And now I think about this play when he was trying to hit that wheel route down the sideline. And granted, the defensive player made a phenomenal play.
Played awesome.
Phenomenal play.
It was a great play
on that pick. But it was still an interception thrown by Drew Aller at the end of the game in another big game. The last big game they played was in the CFP. The next big game they play is this one, and they both end with a Drew Aller interception.
I kind of thought with this football game today, when they fell behind, that, oh, this is good for Drew Aller and Penn State, because when you're behind, just go.
YOLO.
Don't worry about it. Right. Exactly. YOLO it for sure. And it seemed like it was working. He played better in the second half. But I just go back to just consistently. So here we are, 139 rush yards, and Katron Allen, 12 carries for 54 yards. Okay, not bad, 4.5 average, right? And then Aller is the second leading rusher with 9 carries and 42 yards. So all I keep hearing about is Nick Singleton and Katron Allen and how good the backfield is, and yet we can't create creative concepts for this running attack to take advantage of a young Oregon defense, right? And that's where I just get a little bit caught up again in just the coaching of this football team, and just it seems like every big game they're a step or two behind mentally, and that's just not going to cut it, especially when they start to play good opponents. And I just credit Oregon again with this victory.
I want to go right back to Oregon in just a second, but it did feel like everything was just set up for Penn State this time. Maybe more so than some of the other big games that they've had.
What did you say in our meeting? If not what?
If not now, then when, right? Penn State coming off of a bye. They're coming off a bye.
Yeah, I know.
They have a young Oregon team going on the road across the country. I didn't even get to the whiteout yet. So, like, this was a game that was set up for Penn State to finally do it. Finally win.
And we know Jim Knowles is a good defensive coordinator.
100%.
Right? And Will Stein and the boys did some work on him.
I was going to say that this is Penn State's schedule the rest of the way, right? So obviously right now it doesn't look that crazy. Iowa will make you play a muddy, dirty game.
They drag you into hell every time you play Iowa.
You better claw your way out of there.
Ask Indiana. I mean,
but they are at Ohio State November 1st. We have a bookmark on that day, and then Indiana. So I guess
Indiana's a problem.
If you lose to Ohio State and then you struggle against Indiana, Penn State is in some trouble here.
Real quick, you guys. You taking Indiana based on what we've seen right now? Neutral field. Indiana or Penn State?
I'm taking Indiana.
I'm in agreement.
I think the offense is better designed. I think Fernando Mendoza's understanding of the offense and how they want to attack defense is better, which is crazy because he's only been there a few months. I think they actually have a more talented skill group and running back room that kind of add a little bit of everything. I know that Penn State's got one of the better running back rooms in the country, Indiana uses their running backs better. Now, it's hard for me to say that too, especially with how good Iowa's defense was today.
Yes.
But
everyone's going to experience that.
yeah,
Play Iowa.
you're exactly right.
Yeah.
But I think Indiana just has a little bit of everything. Elijah Surratt is a legit wide receiver one. There is no doubt about it. They know it. They get him the football when they need to. The running backs are talented. They do a good job run blocking and pass blocking. So I like Indiana a lot right now.
So bottom line, what we're saying here is it just seems
What you're saying
is it seems like Penn State is limited. When we talk about some of the other teams in the Big Ten contenders, in Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana, throw in whoever else you maybe want to throw in there, but those three have kind of separated, I think. Look at Penn State; they feel limited. It feels like a limited team.
I still trust their defense to a degree, right? Because in this game, we showed the first half stats. I mean, Oregon was going up and down that field, but some way, somehow, it was still 3-3.
Yeah.
And they kind of kept them in shouting distance the whole time. And if it wasn't for that Penn State defense, because quite frankly, that fumble that they called back would have been a game changer.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
And then they end up making another play in overtime by picking off more.
Yeah.
And it ended up being the offense that took too long to get it going, and the offense that ended up putting the nail in the coffin for their own team. Because look at Oregon, 424 total yards, Penn State 276, and they still only lost the game by 6 points.
Yeah, crazy.